Anyway, so here we are playing the Legendary Goku event, running the Sun family. Our team is super basic. We have Super Saiyan, transforming Super Saiyan Goku, transforming Bardock, LR SSJ4 Goku, the friend LR SSJ4 Goku, a LR Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, the free to play exchange Goku into Gohan, and the physical Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And this team is, we'll see how it performs here doing the Legendary Goku event. Honestly, we're just hoping for. Well, we gotta set up our rotations first. That's the big thing. I think I'll put Super Saiyan Blue. The exchange Gohan and Goku with the the LR Super Saiyan Gohan, and then just keep the SSJ4s as floaters. But let's talk about something important. You see, while we're doing this, we're gonna analyze Gohan's life from a child development position because we can. You see, Gohan is one of the most influential characters throughout Z. And his growth throughout his life has led to many important milestones throughout the show. One could argue that culminated with his fight with Cell. Others would argue his story is still continuing on. But again, I want to look at it from a developmental perspective and see where he's at. Now, how we're going to do this is, we're going to start with the beginning of Dragon Ball Z itself, those first few episodes, and see where he's at as a 4-year-old living with his parents in essentially the middle of nowhere. First, we got to go over a few fundamental assumptions, and then we're going to talk about his life from a theoretical perspective. And then we'll probably finish with, if we have time, talking about what these theoretical perspectives look like and how they impact his life choices, and compare the not realistic, it's a fictional character, but compare what happens in the show with what someone of his age should be doing and how the potential impacts would look. And if this sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo and a bunch of other jargon, you betcha it is. But before we get there, we have to talk about those. But again, we have to talk about those fundamental assumptions first. And I would say the biggest two is that he has a secure relationship with his family, and that hold on. Let's see. I want to see how far along our SSJ her transforming Super Saiyan Goku is in gaining his passive. He should be 1.7 mil is not bad for the first form. And we're on Super Saiyan 2 in the Legendary Goku event. Yeah, he's fully built up his passive at this point. So if he transforms, great. Huge. Will benefit us supremely. Bardock is just doing his job. Bardock is honestly one of the most underrated units, in my opinion. He just has a lot of utility for longer events like this, just because he stacks defense. He does decently. I think if they ever do a legendary Frieza event or a Wicked Bloodlines, whatchamacallit, Infinite Dragon Ball History, Bardock will be a fundamental monster for that, along with the Bardock and Gine unit. There's just... The Goku family is just really good, no matter how you slice it. Anyway, as we were talking about these fundamental assumptions that we have to make, let's start with analyzing his family and his relationship with his family around the age of 4. But before we can do that, we need to provide some context on what we mean by a secure relationship. I don't want to just make it sound like, yeah, he has a good time with his family. There's actually like a science behind what this would and does look like. And let's provide some context on that. So during the late 60s and early 70s, James Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth came up with a theory for attachment. And attachment theory it just talks about like the impacts of what your relationship with family and those around the individual and how they impact their lives for them. And according to this hypothesis, a secure relationship should be anxious when their parents leave and overjoyed at their return. Now, in order to put this to the test, what Mary Ainsworth would do is she would create the strange situation. Now, what the strange situation is basically what they would do is they would have a child. Usually, this child is an infant between the ages of like 1 to 2. But there were some cases, and 90% of the time, I want to say they did it with mothers primarily. But this still works for our example. What they would do is they would leave the child alone with the parent, have the parent leave, have a stranger come in, have the parent come in with a stranger, leave the child alone. It's just different scenarios of which a child is like left with a parent. Oh my gosh, this is kind of... I like this rotation. I like what this rotation potentially has going for it. What I don't like is that Super Saiyan... Transforming Super Saiyan Goku has not yet, transformed. That is both a good and a bad thing. Because that means when we encounter Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, we are going to get... Oh, there we go. See? It's that easy. You just get supered once, and we're going to gain quite a bit with the inevitable Dokkan attack that's coming up pretty soon. But still, I was hoping at this point transforming Super Saiyan Goku would have actually transformed. But again, we're going to give them the Dokkan attack. That way we're not gaining a ton of health. Just enough that we just fall within that threshold. Now, I could be wrong. And fucking people die. Or worse, Goku doesn't transform, which is really bad for us in the long term. Anyway, to go back to the strange situation, what they would do is just put the child in a bunch of different scenarios, and then they would analyze in the other room the child's reactions to being put in these different situations. And the whole experiment itself for each individual child, I want to say lasted about an hour, but they gained so much information because it was done in 3-minute intervals. And what they found out is that their hypothesis was correct, and that secure children were, again, initially anxious when the parents left, but were overjoyed when once the parents made a comeback. And this is really bad. Like, really bad. I think we let transforming Goku get beaten up. We'll supplement our health by a little bit. Again, if I lose this, whatever. Anyway, another super on him. Wow. That's convenient for us. Actually, taking triple-digit damage is not bad. Anyway, those secure children were overjoyed when their parents came back, anxious when they left, were anxious around the strangers when they were left alone with them. But if the parents were there, they would use their parents as a base of operations to explore and be friendly with these strangers, which was something not entirely expected to. And just for the most part, when the parent was there, these secure children would use their parents as a launch pad. Yes. If we get supered again, this is bad. But I trust the exchange unit just enough. Yeah, I figured we were going to get super here, which is actually taking 100k is not very good. I was hoping for something a little better. But you know, sometimes you just gotta deal with it. And that's alright. Anyway, so what does this have to do with Gohan? And why did I take the time to explain the strange situation to you? Well, here's the interesting thing. But first, I'm really glad Goku actually transformed. Oh, we got the rage going. Well, we're definitely not going to use that right now. I'm going to use a Princess Snake. And man, this is like, don't you love it when your key doesn't line up? We're going to do this. This is just mediocre, to say the least. But yes, what this has to do with Gohan is you could argue, if you squint just hard enough, that the strange situation and the first couple episodes of Z are the same thing. Gohan is left alone in a arguably much more life-threatening situation and is anxious and afraid, but upon his Goku's return, he's filled with excitement. The world that was once scary, he's now riding on the Nimbus, exploring it with his father. And when he meets Krillin, Roshi, and Bulma, he uses his father as that launch pad of exploration. And is friendly with them. Everybody enjoys being around Gohan. And that's, I don't know, that's just how children in those types of secure relationships interact with the world around them. Now, what does this mean down the road for someone like Gohan who's in a secure relationship? Well, to not spoil too much, I'm going to paraphrase an article discussing the effects on a secure relationship on early childhood development, and that having that base of security early in one's life not only allows for a foundation for exploration, but a foundation on which to stand up again and get the ball rolling once more after encountering a dire situation. Speaking of dire situations, that's, again, the key is just not on my side which is a shame. Also, this fight with Super Saiyan God Goku is going much longer than I would have liked, but at the same time, I think that's good for us, because this gives us time to build up transforming Super Saiyan Goku's defenses for the inevitable Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which is coming up very soon. Oh, there's the crit. Yeah, we're taking double digits right now. This is the ultimate. Are we going to make it? Are we going to die? That's still a lot of damage. This Goku, I wish he wasn't a floater. He's so good. I need another path on physical Super Saiyan Blue Goku. He just does so much. The Vegeta I have a couple paths on, and is honestly a workhorse. Healing, dealing damage, not taking damage. He just does it all. And that, to be honest, really nice. Especially in events like this. Now, again, we're going to go back to Gohan and his developments as a youth. And what we see is that, for the most part, he is developmentally normal for someone his age. And when I talk about developmentally normal, I don't mean like he has a disability or something like that. What I'm saying is that he is on the bell curve for someone his age. He is hitting all the milestones. The only thing that I would argue is that his vocabulary is probably less proficient than it should be for someone his age. Alright, now let's look at this rotation real quick. We're going to definitely give Bardock that. We're going to give Goku this. And I'm not going to heal up, because if I die, I die. We learned a valuable lesson. Also, I don't think I'll be transforming Bardock until we hit Mastered UI Goku. Just so we can get that ridiculously amount of passive built up. Honestly, this guy's doing not as much damage as that. Oh my gosh. See, if we had been supered there, we would have died. But we didn't. So that's nice. I'm guessing this is going to be a very long fight. We give him that. We give Gohan that. We give this Super Saiyan God Blue. I mess up with the Super Saiyan Blue sometimes, because I'm used to being like, oh yeah, Super Saiyan Blue, but because of, I've also gotten used to calling it Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan SSG SS, which is, I don't know, that's a mouthful sometimes. But sometimes you just get in the habit of saying the nonsense. Let's see what happens here. I don't think Gohan, yeah, double digits. Gohan is a monster. And I figured he wasn't going to transform. I didn't need him to transform. All I needed him to do was block. Once again, Bardock is going to be front and center. Oh, but that's a little bad. He's not going, again, he just does not link. Maybe we need to transform him sooner than later. Talking a lot of commentary on the game itself, but not about Gohan's developmental path for someone his age. Now let's go back into that. Yeah, so what I was saying is that his vocabulary is probably lower for someone his age. Should be at. He speaks a bit infantile, and don't get me wrong, he's 4 years old, but because of his familial background and his family being lower on the socioeconomic scale, while also having, I don't believe Goku, I know Goku doesn't have formal education, but I don't believe Chi-Chi does either. So the results are unsurprising that he's doesn't exactly have the highest vocabulary for someone his age should have. But other than that, he's hitting all the other developmental milestones. When you look at the CDC's milestone guidelines, what we see is he's playing, he's interacting, he's able to communicate his thoughts and feelings. For someone his age, he's hitting all the correct milestones. The only thing we don't see is exactly how he does play. Make-believe play, to be more specific. But that's because Gohan's never really given the opportunity to have that sort of make-believe play go on. And now we've entered arguably one of the hardest parts of the Legendary Goku event, the STR Super UI sign. Well, we give Bardock that. We give him that. We give him that. Oh, we got a Dokkan attack. Neat. Double digits? You know, that's not bad for someone who has honestly missed multiple super attacks. And this time we're going to try to get as much out of this Dokkan attack as humanly possible. And sweet. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, he's just not given the opportunity for us to explore where Gohan's at with his make-believe play. Now, knowing this, let's actually analyze where Gohan's at from a couple theoretical perspectives. Starting with the Piagetian approach. Now, to provide some context, I think in terms of the discussion on childhood development and similar subjects, I think this is a good place to pause, and we can pick up again with the developmental steps that Gohan is making at his age at this time by talking about Eric Erickson and his stages of his conflict stages. There's a better way of putting it, but basically it's the guilt versus initiative conflict that goes on for someone at this time period. But again, that's a discussion for next time. Oh, it looks like Goku's not going out without one last hurrah on the units that, of course, have the hardest time taking it. But, you know, whatever. We've just secured the win. Anyway, thank you, and have a good one.